just for the recording, let me kind of back up here a second. So, Patricia, you and I have been talking about my bullying experiment, where we're trying to find how to go through specific events and to get beyond the emotional prisons we put ourselves in by blaming our bullies and everything else. Okay, and you have a maybe use her name, by the way.
My name, yes.
No. The other person's name, Mrs.
For me, it's okay, but I don't know. It's her privacy, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will call her Mrs. Marble. Okay.
Mrs. Marble. Okay.
Okay. So Mrs. Marble was a teacher of yours.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Marble, and you had her for 3 years, ages roughly 7 to 10. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Marble, I'll put it mildly, picked on you from time to time, including one time slapping you in the face.
Yeah.
Thinking you made some noise that actually somebody else made, but there were a number of other issues where you've built up. Mrs. Marble is a bully, right? And I need to collapse all these things, and she's really got to me. How'd we do?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Now, we were talking about this bullying experiment and the way I put things together and all of that, and doing a specific event and all of this, and whether or not we did it well, and what forgiveness means, and we did a whole bunch of stuff in there. Okay. So what I thought we would do here is you and I would go through a specific event having to do with Mrs. Marble. Okay. And I'm going to suggest we take the one where she slapped you in the face.
Well, she always slapped me in the face. That
All right.
wasn't just, that was,
All right. Can we pick one when she slapped you in the face?
I picked the most charged one.
Yeah, please. Okay. And so you got that in your mind?
Yeah.
Okay. And I presume you're sitting there in class and she comes up and wow, there you go.
Oh.
Which side of your face did she slap you on?
The left side.
Okay. With, I guess,
She was right-handed, so.
her right hand. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's get a little more specific still with it. Okay. What time of day was it? Can you remember?
I don't know the exact time of day, but shall I describe the incident?
Well, in a moment, yes. Not at the moment.
It could have been morning or afternoon. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Can you remember what she said? Her tone of voice, the look on her face, gestures, things like that? All right. Tell me what happened, but then I want to know about these gestures and looks on her face and details like that.
Okay. So, in general, you could feel she needed an excuse to hit me. So it was if I made a mistake in a maths or something like that. So we'd done a maths exercise for homework, and she said, "Stand up, anybody who has made a mistake." So there were a few people who stood up. I stood up, and another girl who was good at school, Mary, stood up as well. So we were quite close to each other. So I could see her. You know these old-fashioned benches where there's the bench and the seat is attached. Well, maybe you didn't have them in California, but now you did. You're kind of stuck in them.
Yeah.
So I'm standing up and I see she's coming for me, and I know what's going to happen, and I can't stop it. I can't escape. I can't get out of the bench. There's nothing I can do. So she comes up and she whacks me across the face. And then what charged this one the most is then she went to this other girl, Mary, who made the same mistake, and she said, "Now, Mary, let's see what you did wrong." So it wasn't just the slap. It's you get a slap, and she gets all this loving help.
All right. Now, you had told me earlier that about a slap incident, etc. But you said, as we were putting together this specific event, the time when, in this case, the time when Mrs. Marble slapped me, but not Mary. Okay. And I felt, and that's the emotion. And that's where you didn't put the emotion in when you did the experiment, but as we speak about it now, what label would you give that emotion?
Devastated.
Devastated. All right, and behind that would be things like, I'm going to make it up, I don't count?
Yeah, that I must be something really awful that she didn't slap the other kids. There was one other girl she slapped occasionally, and me. But to be so upfront about it, to so deliberately slap me and then, be all over this other child, was some kind of weird psycho, I don't know what, and it just, it killed all my hope of ever being considered normal. So that kind of.
Okay. So the message you got was from an authoritative adult and a teacher.
Yeah.
She doesn't slap anybody else pretty much, except me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there must be something terribly wrong about me.
Yeah.
Okay. And that a young child from age 7 to 10,
yeah,
I would think would quite naturally conclude from that.
Yeah.
Now, an adult may say, Mrs. Marble's got a problem. Okay. There's something about Patricia that sort of triggers her, pulls her string, but it's probably not Patricia. It's probably what she looks like or a gesture she makes, or Patricia reminds her of Mrs. Marble's own mother. I'm making some of this up, okay?
Yeah,
but there's something about Patricia that triggers Mrs. Marble. And Patricia, you have no clue what that is.
No.
And your conclusion at that point is, I must be something awful.
Yeah.
And what else could you conclude at that age?
I don't know.
Okay. So what I've just been doing is a form of reframing. We're just talking about it. We're trying to look at it through different glasses. We're not excusing the behavior. That's important to understand. We're not excusing the behavior. But here you are decades later, still worked up about it. It is limiting you. It has got you in a prison. See, there's something about keeping somebody in jail, which is what you're doing mentally. Mrs. Marble belongs in that jail, okay? And I'm going to keep her there, okay? But the jailer is in jail with the person they're keeping in jail, because you got to watch the gate.
Yeah. No, I'm very happy to let her out. I just can't seem to manage it on my own.
I understand. So we're doing a little reframing up front. We're academically looking at things a little different. And what that does is that allows us to start, in unseen therapist terms, start putting some things on the table that aren't kind of hidden underneath, etc. Because unseen therapist is not going to change your beliefs. Your free will is to believe as you want to believe. But if you and I can talk about it and things get loosened up a little bit, now we can put some stuff on the table. Okay. Now we have more willingness, more readiness, if you will, for you to have the issue. Now, with all that in mind, we're going to do a little unseen therapist thing here in a moment. But first, we want to do a little before test. So if you would, close your eyes for me. And now go back to this time when she slapped you, but not Mary, and feel that thing on your face. See the gestures and hear the voice and all of that. Get into it and tell me on a scale of 0 to 10, how worked up you get about it now.
Say a 9.
Okay, and how do you know it's a 9? Is there a physical sensation of some kind?
Yeah, it's less than it was. I mean, I practiced with your video, and when I first did it, it was 100. So it's much better.
Well, 9 is like 9% of 100, okay, but
yeah, it's just I feel that heavy depression feeling in my heart. That's just, there's nowhere to go with this. I'm just give up.
All right. Now that's an important input. A heavy depression in your heart. That is a sort of a physical evidence of what's going on. Okay. Some people get headaches. They sweat a little bit. They start breathing heavy. Lots of heart pounds. All that stuff. Okay. So, we're going to do a little unseen therapist thing now, okay? I will narrate it for you. We'll do a little reframing in there. We'll just throw some stuff in. I just want to see what happens when we're done, okay? So if you would, just close your eyes, all right? And to help relax, just take a nice deep breath, And you're used to this by now, I think, but shift your focus to a loving moment. Something with a pet or a person. Not necessarily dramatic, and nod your head when you're there. All right, just stay with that a moment. And now shift your focus to that classroom event where there you are in class. Here comes Mrs. Marble. With all her gestures, whatever she said, the look in her face, tone of voice, and bang, here comes a slap, okay? And that hurts. And be with that for a moment. And then let's shift our focus, still staying in the same place, still having just been slapped, but now we're bringing in the unseen therapist. And she's nothing but love. She can see things that you can't see, you, Patricia, the adult, can't see. She can see things that young Patricia, who just got slapped, can't see. She sees things that Mrs. Marble can't see, and recognizes outside of the awareness of everybody else involved that love is what the real answer is here. Mrs. Marble needs love. Little Patricia needs love. We can blame, we can do lots of things, but all we're doing for the moment is just saying, Mrs. Marble needs love. And so does Patricia. Why does Mrs. Marble need love? Well, it's pretty obvious. She's sitting there hitting a young child. She's an adult and the young child is 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. For what? Okay. Mrs. Marble has a problem. Mrs. Marble needs love. So unseen therapist then goes to Mrs. Marble. And even though little Patricia may resist this, she's at least watching it. Unseen therapist goes to Mrs. Marble, surrounds her, permeates her with this light and this love, something that has rarely, if ever, happened for Mrs. Marble before. Gets inside, understands the frustrations, maybe Mrs. Marble's own rejections and belittlements, and maybe even abuse, physical or otherwise, from the past, maybe even sexual abuse, who knows? Okay. And as we look at Mrs. Marble, we see all those emotions, all those angers and griefs and guilts that she builds up in herself like everybody else does, but exaggerated to the point where she needs to lash out and hit a child. And we represent all those emotions by a form of jitters. It's something like her inner body is sort of shaking with all these unresolved emotions. An unseen therapist comes in with the light. The jitters stop jittering. They slow down. Mrs. Marble gets more peace. You might even be able to see it in her face. The eyes soften. The mouth softens. Facial muscles soften. Her shoulders soften. She now has what she really needs. And now unseen therapist moves over to little Patricia, who is scared, who says, there must be something terribly, terribly wrong with me. One other girl gets slapped but once in a while, but nothing like me. And Mary just got sweetness and niceness when I got slapped. There must be something terribly wrong with me. An unseen therapist knows otherwise. Unseen therapist sits by little Patricia's side. And lets her know there's nothing really wrong with little Patricia. Little Patricia, as an adult, sort of knows that academically anyway. But her emotional response is a little bit different than that. Her emotional response is anger, devastation, a heavy depression in the heart. And so unseen therapist recognizes where little Patricia is, brings in the love, takes the heavy depression in the heart, and lightens it, removes it, fades it away, because it doesn't really need to be there. This is Mrs. Marble's mistake. It's also little Patricia's mistake, because she is understandably evaluating this as though there's something wrong with Patricia. And that's not really the case. Okay. So Patricia now is receiving love. Little Patricia is receiving love. Maybe at a level she's never had before. And then little Patricia grows up and becomes current Patricia. And that love is still there. And maybe this is filling a void of love that maybe Patricia has needed all along. And it's soft. It may not be perfect at this point. We have some resistance. Yes. We still want to blame and we want to do all these other things, you know. But there's a freedom. There's a freedom in getting beyond that. Giving Mrs. Marble some love, opening the prison door and letting her walk out. Lord knows she needs it. She needs her own freedom. And Lord knows Patricia, current Patricia, needs the freedom as well. Now, for the next minute, I'm going to time this. Patricia, keep your eyes closed. And just keep allowing unseen therapists to bring love to you, to Mrs. Marble, and I will assist you with it. And just let it go where it goes, and then we'll talk about it. Go ahead. Okay, so what happened?
I like the reframe that little Patricia made the mistake of thinking it was something to do with her. I thought that was effective.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a mistake to think that.
Anything else?
Yeah, if I relive it, I just think, here comes this crazy lady. Not really.
All right. Well, what I'd like to do is, as you may know, I'm a great one for testing. I never believe anything until we test it, okay? So, if you would, close your eyes. Go back to that event. You know, see the look on her face and all the gestures and the tone of voice, and feel the slap and get into it. And on a scale of 0 to 10, tell me if you're still a 9.
No.
What number would you give it?
0 even.
All right. All right. A better test is when you wake up tomorrow morning and you test it again, because, you know, the day goes by and things happen and all that, okay? And the immediacy of where we are sort of fades a bit, okay? But as another test, let's do something else. This time go back into, go ahead and close your eyes, and we're going to go back into the same event. But this time we are literally, overtly looking for for what's undone. So we want to exaggerate the sights, the sounds, the feeling of the slap, the look on her face, all of that. We want all of that exaggerated because we're looking for something not done yet. Let me know what happens.
It's the stress that's left. It's the beginning when I see her coming and I know there's nowhere to go. That stress of, oh God.
Okay.
I'm stuck and she's gonna come for me.
All right. Now, interestingly enough, this piece of it where she is now coming into it, showing up, that wasn't really discussed so much. That wasn't focused on what we were doing. We were more like there she was, and here comes the slap and all of that. So what's interesting is well, we may have touched on that in our discussion someplace. It was sort of an out there kind of peace aspect of it, we call it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you, the rest of it, still a zero? Did you find something else in there or not?
No, it's a sad little scene, but it's not. It doesn't have all the spikes that it used to have.
Okay.
I feel a bit sad about it.
Well, and a sad little scene is normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's normal. You know, I mean, I've dealt with, I can't tell you how many war veterans who come up with some of the most atrocious experiences you can imagine. And they can now talk about them, you know, like it was a shopping trip.
Yeah.
But it's still not their favorite dinner time topic. Okay.
No. Okay.
Right. But let's do this. Okay. We have this one piece. Here she is coming at you. Okay. Now, her coming at you, give that a number. Is that a 3, an 8? What is it?
Say 5.
Okay. And is that still a heavy heart feeling, or is it something else?
No, it's anxiety.
Anxiety. Let me ask you this about the heavy depression in the heart you felt originally.
Yeah.
Is that still there?
Part of it is, but there's a big bit gone. You see, the depression is not just this incident. There's other causes, but there's something.
Well, there are other incidences, yes.
Yeah.
And we haven't dealt with those yet.
Yeah.
So you deal with them one at a time. But the heavy thing on the heart, if I hear you right, is largely dissipated?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. But that's a clue that there's still more to do. We haven't collapsed all of Mrs. Marble's stuff through one event yet. Okay, we haven't done.
Yeah.
But now let's deal with she's approaching you. Okay, so close the eyes. Okay, take the breath if you need to. Loving moment. Let me know when you're there.
Okay.
All right. So let's change our focus now. We're back in the classroom. And here comes Mrs. Marble. And here's your anxiety. You have no idea. Well, you think you know what's going to happen. Yeah, you know you're probably going to get hit or something like that. Something bad is going to happen. All right. Now, we're going to shift again. We're still in that situation. Here comes Mrs. Marble. And now here comes the unseen therapist, filled with love. She sort of intercedes for the moment. It's sort of like let's draw a blank spot in the movie, okay? Recess sort of thing, okay? And unseen therapist just sits there as something like a loving wall of cellophane. And Mrs. Marble, in order to get to you, has to walk through that loving wall. She's not used to love, but she has to walk through a loving wall to get to you. And as she does, and it's cellophane, so you can go through it quite easily, as she does, she walks through love, and by the time she gets to you, I'm not sure she wants to hit you. But she may have, I don't know. But you also, being little Patricia, see her coming. And as you see her coming and you see love shifting things, your anxiety fades. And so let's take a moment, as I'll do it with you together, as we watch Mrs. Marble coming through the cellophane wall and understand what all is going on with little Patricia. Okay, so what happened?
It stopped her in her tracks. So she hits the wall, and then she doesn't know what she's doing there. You know, like when you go to look for something and then you can't remember what it is. That sort of.
Okay, all right. Well, more importantly in there, that's what she did. What did little Patricia do anxiety-wise?
Well, I observed her being stopped in her tracks by love.
You observed little Patricia being stopped in her tracks by love?
No, Mrs. Marble.
Okay. Well, okay. What I'm asking though is, we started off with little Patricia having anxiety. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for now. Is that anxiety still there? Changed? Up? Down?
It's not really there. I just have this idea, here comes this nut, you know, but it doesn't, it's not anything to do with me.
Well, okay. I mean, thank you.
She's at it again, but.
Thank you very much. Those are the right words, okay? However, we're not here to perform, okay? So I want to get behind it a little bit. Go ahead, close your eyes, and now, you know, getting the unseen therapist cellophane wall out of the way, recreate this thing. Here she comes, and the anxiety involved. Just zero in on that little piece and that aspect alone, and tell me, as you exaggerate it, if there's still anxiety about it.
No, it's like I feel it's not going to happen. It's gone.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, from our bullying experiment point of view, this recording, I think, could be very helpful. If it's okay with you to use it, because it has some reframes, it has somebody who tried the material and, you know, had their own stumbling block, like many people do, etc. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've been found other videos very helpful, so
okay.
Be happy to share.
Okay. See, that is one piece of Mrs. Marble. Okay, that's one piece. And maybe that's all you have to do. Maybe. Okay. But chances are, another piece, another. But sooner or later, after 3, 4, 5 of these, something like that, Mrs. Marble just is not going to be a big deal anymore.
No.
That's the idea.
I can already feel her fading a little, quite a lot, in fact. She's been ever present in my life, and now she seems to be fading into the background.